Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and I want to talk about patch 5.2 today, as it's been out for about a day by the time that this video's come out. I've had access to a little bit of time earlier, so I've been able to play around with it, and I've got to say patch 5.2 seems to be one of the better patches that we've had in a long time, mostly because the patch has jumped into a heavy focus of single player, where the large majority of the players are at the moment, so they were able to look towards some issues that were in game and fix them up dramatically. For example, I've been playing around with the Chaos Cult rework, and my god, is it so good. It makes me question as why something like this wasn't there from the beginning of Warhammer 3 2 years ago. It is that good of a fix. Alongside that, we got the new dwarf mechanic, which is quite fun and see a lot of people are enjoying, but it's very important to talk about the fact that this needs to be the standard going forward, as previous patches were not as good as this. But before anything, a big thank you to our video sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is a website where you'll be able to buy loads of games for your Steam account, Epic account, and a few other platforms like PlayStation and Xbox at a discounted price. You can pick up games like, say for example, Black Myth Wukong, which just recently came out, for minus 17% off. Or, if you're like me and you're waiting for Space Marine 2, you can get the early access edition, so this is the Ultra edition, for minus 24%. 65 quid, so you don't have to pay the 90, and you'll be able to get 4 days early access. That sounds pretty cool. Not only that, but we do have a monthly giveaway going on, win the game of your choice. So yeah, all you have to do is create your account, sign up to the giveaway, and there you go. Just wait until the end of the month. This has been a monthly rolling thing, thanks to our friends at Instant Gaming, as that means that we've been able to have a giveaway every single month so far, and it's going to continue for a while. I actually quite enjoy working with Instant Gaming, and it's always great to have a sponsor where I use their products personally. I've actually saved like £500 from buying games on this specific website. If you make a purchase using my link in the description below, you can support the channel at no extra cost to you, which is always cool, and the giveaway can also be found at the description below. So I mentioned that previous patches focused way too heavily on balancing because of, multiplayer stuff, and I don't want to see multiplayer go away, but what I do want to see is more distinction between multiplayer patches and single player patches. On screen you would have seen that we had the patch notes for 5.1, and it's absolutely insane how much multiplayer stuff came down for that. When the general gist, multiplayer patch balancing normally just dominates like 60% at minimum to 80% of the patch notes, and that can be a little bit frustrating because at the end of the day there have been some problems with the game that needed to be fixed up. Now you can go into the patch notes of 5.2 and you can tell that the patch notes are a lot smaller in terms of girth and weight and all that, and it's mostly because we're just not having a lot of multiplayer updates, but everything there has been for single player, and it has fixed up a bunch of issues that Warhammer has had. The caravan update for the Cathayans has been something that I've been waiting for since the Chaos Dwarfs came out. The cult rework is just absolutely awesome. Deeps also. We've gotten a lot of fixes, and the AI changes seem to be pretty interesting, as I know people are finally hitting the wall that they've been hoping for, because certain difficulties were just too easy, I guess. From what I've been able to see, there's just a few minor bugs, Skaven having a crash to desktop, which has already been reported to Creative Assembly, and for some reason, this is something that a dev told me themselves. If you level up a dwarf with your volume on, apparently there's a bird squawking in the background. It's just like a random voice clip has just gone over. And let's not forget about something very important about the patch, the fact that we have brand new units. Yes, they're reskin units, orc boys with spears and then the standard goblins with sword and shield. But thankfully, the introduction of these units means that they won't take up a DLC slot down the line. This is very important because there's a lot of missing greenskin stuff, and a greenskin DLC is on the way later this year. It's something that we could see happen in multiple patches, just adding in units for all the different races and factions in Total War Warhammer 3, which wouldn't warrant them being put into a DLC. Now, it's very obvious that these point patches, so point 1, point 2, are going to be a regular thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a point 3, and in some cases, if DLCs end up taking 8 months, because it kind of looks like it's going to be that case with this upcoming Greenskins, Ogres, and Khorne DLC, but it could be reduced in terms of timing for the future ones. We might get point 4s. If that's the case, we'll bring a lot of fresh air to the game, which will mean that people will be incentivized to play more if they start focusing on races that aren't really going to be getting a DLC soon too. It might actually help generate some sales for DLCs that have been kind of lagging behind sales too. Now, it's obviously not expected to get a full rework, so nothing would happen to Norska, for example, but updating, say for example, the Wood Elves a little bit. They've not had anything since Twisted and Twilight, or maybe some mechanical changes for the Lizard Men before we end up getting a DLC for them, which is, you know, desperately needed, because we do need a proper big rework for the Lizard Men. Oh my god, we really do. However, if they decided to just fix up like the Great Plan or the Tech Tree at the moment in a smaller patch, it would make them a little bit more playable and people would be incentivized to check them out more. In a perfect world, we'd also be getting some generic Lord and Hero choices. I don't imagine that we'd get named characters, but again, I've said this in a previous video, the Greenskins are missing a lot of Lord and Hero choices, which would be nice to finally see there. Some of the races are missing a few here and there too. It would be really cool for the Skaven, for example, to have the Plague Pontifex, which is pretty much just the Lord version of the Plague Priest, so just in case you want more themed armies for Clan Pestilence, stuff like this would add a lot more to the game and would see incentivization to once again play those factions. Greenskins would probably get a lot of love here, but I mean, that's expected. I know some people were expecting some Legendary Lords and Legendary Heroes. A lot of people, for some reason, were thinking Egram Van Horseman was going to be a FLC Legendary Lord here. I really don't think that that would happen. I know that we've had that in the past. Obviously, there has been like the introduction of Rakarth, but that was when Creative Assembly were generating a lot of money. Right now, it hasn't been the case. When it comes to a Legendary Lord, this means a bunch new modeling, because obviously it's that, new mechanics, and also voice acting, which they seem to get some big named voice actors for like the free stuff. Remember, Be'lakor is by the guy who played Thorin in The Hobbit, and obviously it's Ramsay Bolton as Rakarth, with the mechanic stuff being obviously very costly too, which, yeah, that stuff should stay with the DLC stuff. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen, but it's probably best there, so when these patches come in, the 0.1 patches, they can focus on fixing up the game for the better, rather than adding a lot of new stuff, which is supplementary in this point, right? They need to start fixing up races, factions, new mechanics, plagues for stroke, please. You know, just generally improving the quality of life of the game, which it's seeming this way, and I want to praise this so heavily because it needs to be put into Creative Assembly's head that this is pretty much the expected standard from now on. That being said, there are some Legendary Lords which are in-game with unique models. I guess they just need a little bit of a mechanic here and there just to give them their own thing, and a possible bit of voice acting. I wouldn't mind these ones being done for patches, considering that they're already there and could be used. The Red Duke is one of them. Soforial, which was the first demon that we actually had in-game in Warhammer 1, you know, they've got unique models. It would be kind of cool to see something happen with them. I would say that Boris Todbringer would probably fall around the DLC itself, mostly because, you know, Cult of Ulrich units, they are Ulrich and a few other things. But Soforial could have something just to kind of present another playthrough with the Tzeentchian race. He could be placed anywhere in the world. He doesn't have to be down there with Teclis. I'm not saying that this should be ignoring Ygrim and a lot of people asking for Ygrim, but hey, we end up with 4 playable Legendary Lords for the Tzeentchian race. Why not, right? I know a lot of people don't really replay the Changeling because his campaign is a kind of one and done. The Red Duke too could be done with a bit of work, but just reusing assets from Bretonnia, and then there you go. Something a little bit unique. I am feeling fairly positive about this. I think it's one of the best patches that we've had so far. And I don't mean just for Warhammer 3, I mean like in general, the lifespan of this series, which is getting close to, what, 10 years old now. It's really good to see such a big push here. If we end up getting patches like this in between DLC launches, and more DLCs with the quality that Thrones of Decay has had, we will be in for a very good time. I don't know how much time we have left with this game series in terms of officially supported content and DLCs. Hopefully as long as humanly possible, but it's very, very clear that if it's going to be from this type of level that we've currently got CA at, which, you know, it's sad that a lot of issues had to lead to this, but we're finally here. hey, we could be in for a really, really good time. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I hope you guys are enjoying the patch. What are you guys enjoying the most about it? I am about to sit down actually and play a Tzeentch campaign because you can get so many cults out and running. I kind of want to see what I can do with this and just have a little bit of fun. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you all again very, very soon.